What's up? What's happening, folks? Welcome back to the channel Sports, Life and Politics TV. I'm Samuel Koppel, YouTube's #1 couch detective, and I'm here for the news. And here recently, there has been an attack at a military base in Jordan in the Middle East. Obviously, this war is slowly and quickly escalating simultaneously. I told you from the beginning that this war would escalate, and now there has been an attack at a base that killed 3 military officers. Just so happened, through coincidence, they were all Negro. Now, it could just be through happenstance, or maybe it could be something greater going on behind the scenes that makes you look at this a little bit more suspicious, because America looks like it's looking for a reason to attack Iran. But obviously, the public and the people of the United States have no gumption for another Middle East war. Nobody wants to send their children over there. Nobody wants to see their brothers, sisters, aunties, uncles, fathers, or nieces and nephews over there fighting in the Middle East anymore. But with this war going on between Israel, Hamas, Hezbollah, and through Iran, who is using all these groups as proxies, this thing is slowly escalating. And what makes me so suspicious about these 3 black people dying is that sometimes they use these things to pull at the heartstrings and say, we got to attack back. And when we attack back, then Iran attacks back. And Iran is not launching these attacks from their country. They're doing it from Iraq and Syria, 2 places we've recently been fighting in. We have destabilized these places on purpose, and now these places are proxies for Iran to launch all type of attacks. Now, Iran has attacked, they say, through proxies, the United States over 165 times since this war started with Israel and Hamas, this Palestinian group. Very interesting situation. Let's take a look at this clip.
Tonight, New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy says that he will order all flags to be lowered to half staff across the state. This in memory of a Burlington County soldier killed in a drone attack in the Middle East this weekend. Sergeant William Rivers of Willingboro was one of 3 victims, and tonight the attack.
Let me also say this. As you see these 3 young people, these 3 young Negroes who have perished, RIP to them. My condolences go out to their families. It's a terrible situation. But when these things happen all the way overseas, we never know exactly what happened. They can tell us anything. I remember that thing would happen with Pat Tillman. He used to play for the Arizona Cardinals, and he ended up joining the Special Forces, and he went overseas, and they told us he died in an attack and against the enemy. And come to find out, it was our own people who killed him. And I'm not saying our own people killed them, but I'm saying allegedly, maybe, that they let this drone through for a reason of an escalation. Let me keep the clip going.
Raising some serious questions about U.S. defenses in the Middle East. CBS Tuesday Brennan here in studio now with more on this. Dick?
That's right, Christine. This is the worst loss of U.S. military members to enemy action since the fall of Afghanistan. It apparently happened due to confusion when a hostile drone approached at the same time an American drone was returning to base. And tonight, the families of 3 American soldiers are grieving.
2 uniformed officers made a personal visit to our home to let us know that she was deceased.
Well, Nida and Sean Sanders are suffering through the most agonizing time any parent could face, the loss of their daughter, 24-year-old Army Specialist Kennedy Sanders.
She was definitely a free spirit. She was, her personality was contagious. She was always laughing about everything. So I just want people to remember that, even though her time was short on earth, she lived her life to the fullest and she enjoyed her life.
The strike at a military outpost in Jordan killed Sanders along with 46-year-old Sergeant William Rivers and 23-year-old Specialist Brianna Moffett. Pentagon officials tell CBS News the explosive drone came in low and slow, several minutes after a U.S. drone was returning from a mission in Syria. The base.
Now, how they made that look is that The drone came in, and then the other drone was right behind it. Now, if you've been attacked over 165 times, there's no way that the United States will let a drone slip through. They say it came through low and slow. That's a goddamn lie. Our radars pick up low and slow because that's the maneuvers we used. We know if we used the maneuvers, they was using the maneuvers in the 60s and 70s. That's an old maneuver. So our radars most definitely will pick up moves from from World War II in Korea and Vietnam. These are old moves coming low and slow. That's not nothing new. And our drones and they drones have totally different signatures. That's why you got to be careful when you listen to the news. They'll tell you anything.
A defense system which should have fired on the enemy drone had been temporarily taken offline to allow the American drone to land safely. As a result,
once again, more bullshit. If you let your drone come in and you turned off the radar for your drone to come in, and you've been attacked 165 times, something ain't right. Because you've been attacked too many times, you can't afford to turn off a radar. That doesn't even make sense in the least bit when you truly think about it. How could you turn off your radar? You've been attacked 100. They said the United States, since the war started, has been attacked 165 times. And then you're going to tell me that you let an older drone with nowhere near the technology of ours, but obviously is being guided and has given off all type of clues. Now, if you told me that this was a stealth drone, that the Iranians was using a new technology that we wasn't expecting and never seen, you got me. I might be in agreement in saying that, hey, the Iranians, you never know. They didn't came up with some new technology. They didn't snuck us. But ain't no way you telling me in a few minutes that you turned off one to let one in and then you didn't turn it back on immediately. And then that doesn't even make sense. So why? Because why would you turn it off at all? How can our radar pick up our drone and then attack it? That don't even make sense in the least bit. That's why I say you have to be extremely careful about what the news tells you. They'll tell you anything. Lloyd Austin, who's the defense secretary, he was hiding that he had I think it was prostate cancer. He didn't even tell the president. But let's be honest. Joe Biden don't run the country. We all know that. I mean, that's common sense at this point. The man can barely put together a complete sentence, and he can barely stand up up vertically without tipping over. Because the people who needed to know who actually running the country actually knew Lloyd Austin was going through some, a medical issue, which was prostate cancer, which I thought personally was a death sentence. I don't know if you catch it early enough. Maybe. I think if you catch it early enough, it'll be okay. But these people will get on the news and just say anything. And then look how they got that old, wait a minute. Look how I want you to see, look at this old ass radar. Then they give you an animation. They don't show you how the real radar look. They give you the oldest possible animation, some shit from the Korean War. Show us the real footage. Show us how the base really look. Show us before the attack and after the attack. Give us more information. Oh, no, we're not going to do that. Of course they're not. It's not shocking at all. But like I said before, you guys, a lot of this stuff is contrived and they already know the answer to the question before they even ask it. They already know the conclusion and the outcome before they even start this stuff. Because you telling me at a military base that's in Jordan, that out of all them people, because I guarantee you the military base, if it was maybe 100 people on there, shit, only 12 of them people was black. Only 12 Negroes on the base. And you telling me only Negroes died on the base? Something suspicious, but it's in the middle of Jordan, in the middle of the desert, and you'll never get the answers you possibly want to see, or the answers that you think you should get.
There was little to no warning for the troops still in their sleeping quarters, which are not built to withstand a blast. Defense Secretary Austin said all options are on the table.
We will take.
Let me say this about Lloyd Austin. Lloyd Austin is the defense secretary. He was also one of these people who were fast-tracked through the military to the position that he's in. When you see these people at this table, none of these people are at these tables through happenstance. A lot of these people who defense secretaries, secretaries of states, and a lot of these people are picked from childhood. Condoleezza Rice, if you look who her parents were and where she come from, her background, she was groomed for those positions from childhood. Lloyd Austin, if you look at his military accomplishments, you will be astounded. He's a retired four-star general who graduated from West Point. And he also graduated from, I think it's like military war school. I think he also graduated from Auburn, if I'm not mistaken. A lot of these type of people, especially a black man, they have to have, just like Colin Powell, when they see you, they fast track you through. What I'm saying, I'm not saying Lloyd Austin is, I'm pretty sure Lloyd Austin is a very, very intelligent brother, very smart. But believe you me, when you get to these positions within the American government, they fast track you through. But he's a very intelligent brother. But if you look at his goddamn his military accomplishments, and you look at his ribbons, and you look at all the stuff, and you like, oh my God, you thought he was Rambo.
All necessary actions to defend the U.S. and our troops.
President Biden met with his national security team and vowed to strike back for the attacks on U.S. forces in the Mideast by Iranian-backed militias.
Iran continues to arm and equip these groups to launch these attacks, and we will certainly hold them responsible.
American forces have been the target of some 165 attacks since October 17th, and the U.S. has launched 7 retaliatory strikes against the Iranian-backed militias. But congressional Republicans want.
So that's how you know something's highly suspicious. They attacked the United States of America, strongest military on the planet, 165 times, and you've only attacked 7. Something's rotten in Denmark.
A powerful response.
And until we send a strong message to Iran, and we're not going to tolerate this, they will continue to hit our troops in the region.
The U.S. officials tell CBS News they want to avoid a direct conflict with Iran. The Pentagon has developed options to try.
And Iran also wants to avoid a direct conflict with the United States. Neither one of these countries want a direct war. Just like the United States didn't want a direct war with Russia, they were happy to use the Ukrainians as proxies.
Many facilities inside Iraq, Syria, and Yemen, where they say there is no shortage of targets. Christine.
As you can see, there's no shortage of targets. So what they'll keep doing is bombing each other from afar. Iran will be using their proxies. The United States will use their ships off the coast and bomb. And losing these 3 people will legitimize them bombing a little bit more in Iraq, Syria, and Jordan, but not Iran. And let me say this, fighting Iran is a no-win situation for the United States. Most people think the United States can beat Iran in a war. I beg to differ. Yes, you can bomb them into to the Stone Ages, but as soon as you put troops on the ground, there went the whole thing. You'll get your ass handed to you, like I told you was going to happen to Israel. Let me say this too. Israel's defense minister and one of their generals finally admitted that they're losing. And I told you that when the war very first started, I told you on Sports, Life and Politics TV, they were going to lose this war. They can't win this war. Ground wars and urban warfare is the most difficult war you possibly can fight. You have to kill way too many civilians. You don't know who's who. These people got on flip-flops and t-shirts. Who's the enemy? You start killing babies, children, old people. You start panicking. It's like the United States was doing the same thing in Iraq. When them IEDs start going off, you didn't know who was who. You had people blowing themselves up, suicide bombers. You don't know who's who. Fighting urban war is just, you have to try to, I would say, bomb a little bit and then use some diplomacy. Fighting them urban warfare is just like a no-win situation. Because as soon as you launch, let me tell you what will happen. As soon as you launch missiles at Iran is going to launch so many missiles at Saudi Arabia, it will blow your mind. And you might say, why would they launch missiles at Saudi Arabia? Because that's where all the oil fields is at. What the United States need, we need a lot of oil. That's where all the money's at. And then not only will they launch a bunch of missiles at Saudi Arabia, they're also going to launch them at Israel. So Tel Aviv and all those cities in the West Bank, all that will be flattened. So it will be a two-way street. United States don't have enough missiles to shoot all the weapons down that Iran will shoot off. And don't forget, like I just told you, Iran is also in Syria. They're also in Lebanon, Iraq, and Jordan. So their tentacles have reached throughout the Middle East at this point. So fighting Iran and United States, see, it's a no-win situation, and that's not even bringing up the point that Iran is also backed by North Korea, China, and Russia. So it's a no-win situation. United States and Israel, I don't know what they're going to do. Israel's getting their goddamn hats handed to them. Yes, they're blowing people up. Yes, they're killing people. But they admitted the other day that they said they was going to wipe out these tunnels. They ain't. They said they haven't even destroyed 20% of the tunnels. Coming to find, they said it was 250 miles. They said, coming to find out, it was 450 miles. So if they say 20%, it's probably more like 8. So they're in a tough situation. And I showed in the last video I made that Hamas is on their ass. And don't forget, right next door is Lebanon, and Hezbollah is launching attacks every single day. And people are saying that it's starting to look like they're getting ready to invade Israel. And I told you they can't beat Hezbollah in a war because Hezbollah is 3 times as powerful as Hamas. So if Hamas keeps fighting from the inside of Palestine, and Hezbollah comes from Lebanon from the outside, your ass is you pinch Twinkie. Your ass is to get squeezed to death. You're to get squeezed to death. What that means, United States has to get involved. If United States attack Hezbollah, that means Iran got to get involved. And if Iran involved, that means Russia, China, North Korea are all licking their chops for America to do something stupid. We can't afford another war. But yeah, you guys, I just wanted to go over this clip. I found it very interesting that 3 Negroes died. RIP to them. My condolences go out to their parents. A base, probably only 12 black people out of 100. And the only people died on the base were 3 black people. Could have been, coincidence. Could exactly what they said happen? Yes, but do I buy that? Not for 1 second. Allegedly, something's rotten in Denmark. But none of us were there. But there's no way we let foreign drones slip past us talking about it drove low and slow. I don't give a damn if that motherfucker landed and was rolling on the ground. We still would have seen that coming. Impossible. Now, if you told me the radar, a missile hit the radar and blew that, but even they couldn't do that because we could shoot that out. So nothing makes sense. Nothing's adding up. They throw this out there for a reason to bomb more in Syria, Jordan, and Lebanon, and all these other countries. But we'll see where this thing is headed. I predicted everything to a T. I told you this thing will slowly but quickly escalate when the war first started in other videos. And now, as you can see, where this is headed, where it's going. I told you Israel could never beat Hamas in a war. And if you watch these different videos, they are getting their asses whooped with RPGs. Them RPGs is whooping them tanks. The Israelis barely want to walk. They ain't walking on the streets. They're only in tanks. And then the tanks have just been so big and slow going through a city block that they're just huge targets. But I appreciate you guys tuning in. This has been Sports Life and Politics TV. I'm Samuel Koppel, YouTube's #1 couch detective. I'm here for the news. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. I just took your ass on 3 Negroes just died in the Middle East ride. RIP, brothers. Peace.